Okay, at this point we'd like to point out some of the various things that we've done on this military themed rat rod that we built here. The first thing that I'd like to point out is the 81 millimeter mortar ammo can that we have here that we've turned into an air cleaner. What we did was we built risers for the stock air cleaners and incorporated them onto the can and made it turn into just like a regular air cleaner. The next thing I'd like to show you is the 30 millimeter rounds that we've got here out of an A10 Warthog that we incorporated LED lights in to make turn signals out of. Okay, now for our headlights, what we used was World War II era Navy battle lanterns, and we took headlights from a modern car and adapted them to fit the lenses on these lanterns. Another feature that we wanted to point out was the 105 howitzer rounds that we glued LED taillights in. Okay, here we are in the interior of the truck. Well, first thing I want to point out is the seats were reupholstered by the owner, Nick himself. He did a pretty good job on these. The other things that we want to point out is, as you can see, here's our gun that we've got mounted in here. The shifter is actually an ammo box that we turned into the shifter for the transmission with a little custom machined bullet round for the handle. And also down here we've got a military first aid box that we actually converted into the fuse box system for the truck. Okay. Now the other things that we've got, of course, are all of the gauges, a master cutoff switch in here. He's got his air valve switch here, the headlight switch, the starter switch, ignition switch, the blinker switch is over here, and that had to be custom mounted because of the length of the steering wheel and the cab. Okay, for some of the custom artwork that we did on this truck, I'm going to introduce you to Aaron Flint, who is my grandson, and he's going to tell you more about these items. Aaron?
Alright, here we have an M4 sculpture. We use spark plugs for the bullets, put one in the chamber, and use chain, solid stack, a couple bolts, and some mesh for little details. Then up here we have a sight and a barrel. Came out pretty cool. Small chain for the trigger. Here we have a grenade I made out of bearings, which still spin. And we used a pin for the trigger. Made a little improvised for the pulling pin. This right here is a skeleton hand I made out of nuts and bolts. Fastened it to a ball joint style holder with a clevis, and made a pretty cool rear view mirror holder.
Okay, for the custom mirror brackets here, we're going to introduce you to Jeremy. He's another member of the shop here. Jeremy?
To mount the mirrors, we used the existing bracket that came with the cab, fabricated the upper bracket, and wanted to use big truck mirrors on the rat rod. So on the other side, we didn't have the lower bracket, so we replicated it with the same bond, same upper bracket. You have two big truck mirrors on the rat rod.
Okay, now for more information on the small block 400 that we built for this themed rat rod is my son Rick Jr. He's going to take it from there.
Okay, the power plant for the rat rod here is a small block Chevy 400 from 1977. We took the crankshaft and the connecting rods to a local machine shop to have everything checked. We also had the engine block machine work done at the local machine shop as well, so all the components for the lower end were complete. Once we got them back here to the shop, we took the engine block, did a final clean on everything, plastic gauged everything, put it in, and put the assembly together. After assembling the bottom end of the engine, we installed an aftermarket set of aluminum cylinder heads with roller rocker arms and aftermarket push rods. For our induction, we used a dual tunnel ram with twin Holley carbs, and for our ignition system, we used an MSD distributor and MSD box. Okay, for some of you out there that might know a little more about the internals of a small block Chevy engine, where we started was with a stock rod, and then shot peen and Magnaflux. We installed ARP rod bolts. We had the crank polished, had the engine block bored 30 thousandths over with a brand new 4-valve relief flat top piston. With these aluminum heads having a 53cc combustion chamber with the flat top piston that we have, and we also took 20 thousandths off the deck, we're approximately about 10-8 to 1 compression, which is pretty close to 11 to 1. So that's a pretty good compression for this small block engine, but also still has reliability and can run on pump fuel. Now for our induction, we have a Welding dual tunnel ram with twin 450 Holley carburetors. Now for our ignition system, we started with a Pro Billet distributor. And to power that distributor, we have a 6AL ignition box from MSD. Our exhaust here on this small block Chevy, we really had to go out of the box because we had to custom build a set of headers for this because of the unique chassis and the body. So what we started with a kit from Jake's High Performance Mail Order, and it came with several different tubes and whatnot. So what we did was we laid everything out. We had to do a lot of miters, especially around the steering column shaft. So what we did was we got it set up, put the plates on the cylinder head, started from there. Once we got everything set there, then we seen where it had a relationship to the chassis with the body, and we fabricated everything together. So now the engine can breathe and sound good as well. And I think all said and done, this small block Chevy should run pretty good, be reliable, run on pump gas, and I'd say be somewhere in the 400 plus horsepower range. Now we do have some more detailed videos of the process of this whole thing being constructed from ground up on our YouTube page and also Facebook. If any of you guys out there are interested in having a rat rod or a custom performance engine built, be sure to give us a call.